Sprinkle a handful over the orchid. This fertilizer will make it bloom abundantly. You can have beautifully flowering orchids at home if you provide them with the right supplements. I'll show you how to feed orchids. With this fertilizer, they will produce many new buds, be healthy and robust. New flower stems will appear, even on old stems. You'll learn 2 methods that I use to fertilize orchids with one product. Here's the first method. Pour about a cup of rice into a pan and turn on the stove. Heat it in a dry pan for about 3 minutes. It should be lightly toasted but not burned. When it cools a bit, transfer the rice to a blender. Grind the rice grains. Transfer the rice flour to a jar. You can store it this way and take the right amount for orchid fertilization. I take a tablespoon of ground rice and pour it into a bowl. Then, I pour boiling water over it, mix and leave it to cool. During this time, the water will absorb many minerals from the rice. You can also use ground rice with cold water. Pour water into a glass with a teaspoon of ground rice. Leave it for some time to let the water absorb the most valuable elements from the rice. You can water orchids with this water. Thanks to this fertilizer, the orchid strengthens. You can give at least 5 tablespoons to each pot. It's enough to do this once a month. The second method is traditional, using raw rice. Pour water over the rice and let it stand. You can use warm or cold water in this method. In the case of cold water, always leave the rice in the water for a longer time. Use this fertilizer regularly, especially when orchids have flower buds. This way, you'll have beautiful flowers.
Just 1 teaspoon of this spice is enough for orchids to be covered in flowers. This trick is used by orchid growers. Thanks to it, their flowers bloom all year round. Yellow leaves and withered stems may be a sign of serious fungi. It turns out that garlic is the secret ingredient that works great as a fertilizer for orchids. It contains many minerals such as phosphorus, iron, and potassium. It also has antifungal and antibacterial properties, acting as a protective shield against insects and mites. Take 3 cloves of garlic and crush them. Then, pour a liter of water and leave it overnight. The next day, pour the mixture into the flower pot. After 30 minutes, pour off the excess fertilizer. Garlic water can also be poured into a sprayer and used to mist the leaves. The scent of garlic and its antifungal properties protect the plant from diseases and pests. For busy individuals, there's also a simple recipe with granulated garlic. Just add a teaspoon of the spice to a liter of water, then mix the solution and water your plants with it. And that's it. Garlic infusions serve not only as protection, but also support growth and blooming. Garlic acts as a nourishing agent. It contains active substances and nutrients. Simply fertilize the orchids with it at least once every 2 weeks to make them bloom again. It's the only fertilizer I use for my orchids. They literally bend under the weight of the flowers. Just 1 teaspoon is enough to stimulate orchids to bloom. The plant will bend under the weight of the flowers. Forget about watering them with plain tap water. This homemade fertilizer will work much better. Orchids are very finicky plants. Providing them with the right conditions for blooming is very demanding. It turns out that just 1 teaspoon of this powder mixed with water is enough for the plant to grow beautiful and healthy. Water the orchids only when their substrate becomes dry. It is generally accepted that this plant should receive a portion of water at intervals of a few days, but no less frequently than once every 2 weeks. Don't water them with plain tap water alone. Prepare a homemade mixture that will make them start blooming. Put a tablespoon of gelatin in a bowl, then pour warm water over it and stir until the powder dissolves. Gelatin is rich in nitrogen. It is thanks to it that plant roots become stronger and develop faster. In addition, regular nitrogen fertilizer feeding causes the plant to grow more vigorously and produce flowers more often. When the mixture becomes transparent, pour it into half a liter of cold water. Mix everything together. Water the orchids with this prepared mixture. Plants nourished with nitrogen develop new flowers faster. Thanks to fertilization, they will also delight our eyes for a longer time. This watering fertilizer is cheap, natural, and effective. It's worth using it at least once a week. Since I've known this recipe, my orchids have been blooming like crazy, and the flowers last on them for up to 9 months. Recipe for orchid syrup. Thanks to it, you will nourish and shine the leaves of your orchid. Making it takes a few minutes. When caring for orchids, we often focus on the flowers and forget about the leaves. If we take proper care of them, the plant will bloom more frequently and strongly. To make the syrup, put a tablespoon of sugar into a bowl. Add lemon juice. Then, add a teaspoon of honey. Pour in warm water. Stir until the honey and sugar dissolve. The mixture prepared this way is the syrup for orchids. Soak a cotton ball in it and gently wipe the orchid leaves, removing dust and impurities. The syrup will nourish the leaves, support their structure and regeneration. They will absorb more sunlight, which will have a positive effect on the plant's growth. This recipe is a great alternative to chemical shine-enhancing products that can be bought in gardening stores. Gardeners never throw away used dish sponges. They are like gold for plants. This trick is a clever way to recycle. Start by removing the green and hard part of the sponge. You won't need it. Cut the sponge into smaller pieces using scissors. One sponge should yield a handful of pieces. They are invaluable when transplanting potted plants. Adding a sponge to the soil will help retain moisture. It's a great hack for forgetful people or those who often travel. Before planting the plant in a larger pot, put the cut sponge at the bottom. Then, cover it with soil and place the plant. This base will help the water last longer in the pot. If you accidentally pour too much water while watering, the sponge will absorb it. This will protect the plant's roots from rotting. When the soil starts to dry out, the plant will draw moisture from the sponge. Do you know any other tricks for maintaining moisture in a pot?
Recycling Christmas trees is a great idea for those who don't want to waste anything, even a Christmas tree. When the tree starts shedding needles after the Christmas, that's the perfect moment. Instead of immediately throwing it away, make use of it. Trim its branches. Use pruning shears for this. It'll be the easiest way. Collect the trimmed branches in a container. I used a basket for this. Next, cut them into smaller pieces like I did. Prepare a decent-sized jar. Place the chopped tree branches into it, trying to fit in as many as possible. Then, pour vinegar over the branches. Seal the jar and place it in a sunny spot, like a windowsill. Leave the jar there for a week. After this time, the vinegar will change color. Then, strain the branches. You can use a sieve and a coffee filter for this. Pour the strained liquid into a spray bottle, but don't fill the bottle to the top. You can add a bit of rubbing alcohol or regular vodka to the bottle. The mixture will be more effective. Seal the bottle and it's ready. You've just made a versatile cleaning solution from your Christmas tree. You can use it to clean all surfaces. It will clean and disinfect your countertop and table. It will remove stains and dirt from the floor. The Christmas tree spray is excellent for removing stains from the induction cooktop. You can thoroughly clean the sink in the bathroom and even the toilet with it. It will clean every mirror meticulously. It will also clean the shower cabin. The spray made from Christmas tree branches is a fantastic recycled product that you can use in any home to clean all surfaces, and it smells pleasant too.